Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, on Instagram Movies TV Mad X, and now on TikTok. Mick isn't perfect because guess what? Mick isn't perfect and he couldn't give a shit. Welcome to today's daily video because we've got some huge Superman Legacy casting. The cynical side of me would say that James Gunn, Zaslav and WB are getting very, very nervous about the Rebel Moon hype. So this is why all of a sudden we're hearing about the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow writer and this interesting Superman Legacy casting. Why are they afraid of Rebel Moon? Why does that film affect them? Because it's released pretty much at a similar time to Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I think the hype is going to be with Rebel Moon, and let's not get it twisted. If both these movies were released on these dates, it would be Rebel Moon that would coin in more money. And this is why Netflix should have given this a full global theatrical run. But if they do that, they're worried about how it affects their platform, and they understand that. They're a streaming service. But, yeah, I think these announcements from DC Studios are happening now for a reason. So there is some major villainous The Authority casting for Superman Legacy. Let's give it a look. This is from Collider. I hate Collider. I don't like reading anything from them because of how they treated Zack Snyder in the past with the DCEU. But never mind, this is where the information is. Superman Legacy just cast its big villain. Here's who'll be taking on David Corenswet in the first film in James Gunn's DCU. Venezuelan actress Maria Gabriela de Faria joins the cast of James Gunn's Superman Legacy as the villainous Angela Spicker, also known as the Engineer. And I think she is a member of the Authority if we read on. The new DCEU is already introducing a new villain into the fold. Deadline revealed that James Gunn's highly anticipated Superman Legacy has brought in Venezuelan actress Maria Gabriela de Faria to play Angela Spicker, better known as the Engineer. She'll be one of the main baddies facing off with David Corenswet's Man of Steel as part of a team of villains for Gunn's debut directorial effort in the rebooted comic book universe. So she is a member of the Authority, so she will be part of the Authority team in the Authority movie. Now, James Gunn denied that the Authority would be a part of Superman Legacy. We didn't deny it, but said, I never said they were in it. Just because she's in it, it doesn't mean the rest of them will be. We'll have to wait and see. So she is a villain. She will be posing a threat to Superman, but that doesn't mean she's actually the main villain. We'll have to wait and see. And James hasn't really told us how big the role she's playing in Superman Legacy, so we'll have to wait and see. This looks to be a major breakout role for Faria, who most recently appeared as part of the cast of Joel McHale's Animal Control on Fox. She's also known for another Fox comedy, The Moodies, in which she co-starred with Dennis Leary and Elizabeth Perkins. Her experience also includes the sci-fi series Deadly Class, executive produced by Anthony and Joe Russo. You see that's where the connection, the MCU connection there, of course. The Exorcism of Gods, and the Dylan Sprouse-led comedy, The Jewel. Her DC role is a relatively new character, first introduced into comic canon in The Authority Volume 1 in 1999. While the Engineer's exact involvement in the plot is unknown, she sports a liquid body, wow, and fantastical powers, thanks to nanotechnology running through her body. Very interesting. Although this year's Blue Beetle was technically the first title under the new DCU, Superman Legacy will be the proper introduction to this rebooted world helmed by Gunn and Peter Safran. Let's be clear about this. Blue Beetle isn't a DC Universe movie. It's a DCEU movie, but Blue Beetle is a DC Universe character who will be played by the same actor. That's the point. It ain't confusing, it isn't rocket science. The film isn't an origin story for Supes though, and will instead focus on his inner conflict between his Kryptonian heritage and human upbringing as he confronts evil within the world. Fans will enter into an already established universe surrounding the Man of Steel, and the Engineer's presence is a good indication of that. It appears Legacy will also help lead into Gunn and Safran's previously announced The Authority movie, which plans to bring more Wildstorm characters into the shared universe, which can only be a good thing, by the way. So, what we can see here, that Superman Legacy isn't going to be a typical superhero movie or a Superman movie. It's going to be very, very different. Gunn likes teams, groups of comic book characters. That's where he's at his best. But at the end of the day, it's still a Superman movie. He's already spoken about having the iconic DC characters kind of help hold up these unknown characters, and that's always been his plan. It's a good plan. DC has very rarely tried to give us movies with kind of the lower graded characters. Something we know Gunn's good at is developing, lower tier comic book characters, as he did with the Guardians and the Suicide Squad members, and to brilliant effect, Peacemaker. What we don't know about Gunn is he capable of developing characters like Batman and Superman? He's writing and directing Superman Legacy, so we know where his strengths are, where his talents are, but can he deliver on Superman? That's the point. At the very least, it does look very, very interesting to me, and this casting again is very good. It's a very solid piece of casting, but we don't know if she's going to be the main villain. Just because she's a villain in the movie, I think it's just to kind of tie in everything that they're trying to do. She may even team up with Lobo. If Lobo is indeed in the movie, I believe that Lobo will be in Superman Legacy, but we don't have any clarification yet. But I think it's very exciting. I am hyped for Superman Legacy. I do have my concerns, but I also think, as I say, DC Universe will be something utterly different to what we're expecting. I did a video the other day asking if Superman Legacy would be a darker take than we think, and I think it will. I think DC Universe is not the MCU, like 2.0, like some people believe it's going to be. Because James Gunn has never had the opportunity in running his own franchise. I mean, basically the Guardians 3 movies were his. But he's never had the opportunity to do something on this level. And it will be interesting how he does it. But I do think it's going to be very, very unique and very, very different and very, very James Gunn. But he has to be, he has to be diverse in what he's doing. Not everything can be the same, because, Superman's got to have one tone, Batman's got to have the other tone. You can't just keep the same tone. And he's spoken about that already. They're saying, like, Superman's world is going to be different to Batman's world. Just because you're in one franchise, it doesn't mean the color palettes and the tones should all be the same. And this is what the MCU did. They believed that, everything should be the same because it's the same universe. But, the world where Thor comes from isn't the same where Jane is and, where normal human people are. So you've got to deliver that, and you've got to change that up. It all can't be the same. So yes, that's the casting. We have one member of the Authority, not a very famous actor, which I like. I don't like these fan castings. I don't like, only famous people getting jobs in these movies. It's pretty boring if you ask me. Expect plenty more casting for Superman Legacy, and I think we're very, very close to a big announcement for Lex Luthor. Perry White and Jimmy Olsen. maybe even Brainiac, who knows? But for sure, I think the internet is going to break when everyone finds out who's playing Lex Luthor. Do I know who that is? Don't I know who that is? I'm going to shut my effing mouth. But yeah, I think that casting's going to break the internet for sure. And I really want to say who it is, but I'm not going to say, well, save that for another video. I don't want to leak it out because it's not fair. It's not fair on James and his team. I think it's only right. I mean, it has gotten out to me. These things do get out to me. I mean, hopefully it's accurate information, of course, but we will see who's playing Lex Luthor. You can see the kind of hype just for this character. As they said in that article, the Authority is a graphic novel, if you like, a set of graphic novels and characters that have only been around since 1999, but they tick Gunn's boxes. You're going to get a lot of this in DC Universe, the lower graded characters that Gunn's interested in. And this is what you want from a creative. You don't want creatives pandering to what you want. You want creatives taking what they want to do and making it the best they can do. And as I said earlier, we haven't had enough of these lower graded characters done well. Like we had the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck, it was done badly. So if you're going to take these characters, you've got to do it in the right way or it doesn't work. So I'm very excited to see his take on the Authority and the Creature Commandos because, as I said earlier, this is what James Gunn does so well, doesn't it? There's no question that he can bring in, groups of people and do a good job with them because that's what he's good at. But he's got to be good at doing Superman. He's got to be good at doing Brave and the Bold. And we've already got a writer for, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. So things are starting to develop. Now, it'll be interesting now we do have a writer for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow if we're hearing an announcement pretty soonish on the director of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I expect it to be a female. What female they're going to choose will be very, very interesting. And now I've got this weird flash of Ava DuVernay. And, let me be clear. Ava DuVernay isn't a good director. She's an extremist. She's a problem. I find her very, very bigoted and problematic. Ava DuVernay directing anything in DC Universe would be a big problem to me. And another massive red flag. I would not be happy. When I heard she was doing New Gods, I really hoped, I was praying to the gods that something would happen. And of course I predicted that it would all fall apart in the end because basically she was never recruited to do New Gods. It was just the point that she was trying to recruit herself and she kept on pitching and pitching. Then she got Tom King to help her. We know what Tom King's all about and he's involved with Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Red flag. We will see. Hopefully it's actually good. I like the story of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, but will it, polarize the audience or will it excite the audience? Because Supergirl's always been a character that I've loved. But yeah, Ava DuVernay would be the biggest red flag of red flags. So please, James, keep away from her. She's utterly problematic. So let's see what happens. Look, the problem with New Hollywood today is that they are utterly obsessed with their ideology and their politics, and it infringes in their very mindset on what to do. I want to spend the second half of today's video talking about Mr. Fantastic, the Fantastic Four, and the rumor that Pedro Pascal will play Mr. Fantastic. Now, this is absolutely ridiculous. Are you telling me that this is as small as your acting pool is, Hollywood, that you're choosing Pedro Pascal? Now, on the outside looking in, they're going to pretend this is diverse casting, but it's not, because I've told you before, there's no true genuine diversity in Hollywood. They just take people who seem diverse on the outside, but have already got their DNA. They're already part of the country club. Basically, Pascal will be doing the Mandalorian. He will be doing the zombie what's that? I forgot what it's called, but The Last of Us, right? He'd be doing The Last of Us, and he'd be doing this. Are you telling me that you don't have anyone else that you'd like to play Reed Richards but Pedro Pascal? This could fall through. This might not happen in the end. I think they've leaked this out to see how the public digest it, and the public are not digesting it very, very well. He's not Reed Richards. Right, listen, Pedro Pascal is a very, very good actor. He was the best thing about Wonder Woman 84, even though they literally destroyed that character and it wasn't comic book accurate in the slightest. He was Donald Trump, weren't he? He was the con artist. We know what they were trying to do there. But the performance was so good, it kind of made the movie half watchable, and it was barely watchable, let's be honest about that. But yeah, look, Marvel is in deep shit. Now, Destiny Daniels has stepped down as the director of the Avengers Kang Dynasty movie. So it looks like they're going to demolish everything they were planning because it simply hasn't worked. I mean, look, when I first saw Kang in Loki season 1, I thought, interesting, this could be good. But it hasn't captured the MCU stand's imagination. But the truth of the matter is, Kang can't continue because the actor is in a lot of legal trouble. So they're going to have to get rid of him. But it also goes deeper than that, everyone. That, their movies are not making money. That there isn't the interest in the MCU anymore. You don't just stamp the Marvel the Marvel Studios logo on there. It doesn't sell anymore. That's what they used to do. Oh, it's a Marvel movie. We better watch it or we won't know what's happening in the Infinity Saga. Those days are gone. What I would do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe now is demolish everything. And I mean everything. Like Deadpool 3 would have nothing to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe if it was up to me. It would just be part of its own world. That's what I'd do. I'd bring in really good auteur directors to have their own individual takes in these Marvel universes and characters. Nothing would be connected apart from the worlds and stories they were telling. For example, you could bring in directors like Peter Jackson to do kind of their own trilogy, their own take on a Marvel universe. That would be very, very interesting to me. When you look at the people they're recruiting for Fantastic Four, I don't expect anything to work. Feige is lost because he just keeps on bringing in the same type of people. He has no intention in giving you great, epic Marvel like they did in the early days or the good old days, right? So Iron Man, you had Jon Favreau, a very talented director. He did a brilliant job. Iron Man 2 was mid as far as I'm concerned, but certainly much better than what we're getting now. Then Feige absolutely destroyed. He had a great opportunity. He brought in Ed Norton as Bruce Banner and the Hulk. He was amazing, a big Hulk fan. They fell out because Feige wanted to take it down an avenue that Norton didn't agree with. And now, even the director of the Incredible Hulk movie is admitting that Norton was right. But Feige tried to sell the story that Norton was a diva. Whether Norton's a diva, look, they're all fucking divas, actors, performers, artistes. They're all fucking divas. They're all obsessed with themselves and their performance on part of that world. That's what it's about. They're passionate. That's what it comes down to, right? But Norton was right. And look what Feige did to the Hulk in the end. Turned Bruce Banner into some ridiculous beta male. So Norton was right. He never had any incarnation, any inspiration to tell a great Bruce Banner and Hulk stories, because the Hulk, Bruce Banner, such an interesting character, kind of that Jekyll and Hyde vibe. They could have done so many great things. There's so many great comic book stories, right? Like Planet Hulk and things like that, but they have no fucking intention of doing anything good. This is New Hollywood. This is where we are today. And this is why the Marvel Cinematic Universe is on its knees. Now, some people celebrating their demise because of their so-called representation and inclusion structure. But, you know, the problem is they're not representing minorities and women in the right way. We've already discussed that. Women didn't come in to watch the Marvels. So it's staggering. No one seems to be interested in watching that film because that film is just a film that runs, starts, has a middle, and finishes. And there's a lot of films today like that because they're bringing untalented people to write and make movies. Political people, ideological people, people who have no idea how to make a film. You can know how to say action. You can know how to work the VFX computer. You can know how to write a script. You can know how to punctuate a script. It doesn't mean you know how to make great entertainment because their motivation isn't in telling great stories and great entertainment because they're bringing in, as I say, ideologically, obsessed people, politically obsessed people. But they don't even know how to do good political commentary, how to dial it back a bit. Instead, what they do, they get the sledgehammer and they bash you over the head until you're convulsing with blood dripping down your fucking face. And that's the problem today. Look, Hollywood has always been left, mostly been left. We know that. We've had all these anti-war movies, we've had a lot of things, but it was done tastefully and it was done with telling great stories and still entertaining the audience. When we think of Born on the 4th of July, anti-war movie, Casualties of War, anti-war movie, but done so well. So most people who watched those movies probably didn't even notice that they were anti-war movies, although, Born on the 4th of July is blatantly an anti-Vietnam, movie. I mean, I'm a pacifist myself, so I appreciate those kind of stories. I mean, look what's happening in the Middle East right now. It's disgusting, isn't it? That shouldn't be happening in the 21st century. But, Marvel's fucked. Let me be clear to you. I mean, no one saw this coming after people were cheering when, Tony Stark snapped his fingers and said, "I am Iron Man," and everyone cheered, and that movie made record-breaking money. All they had to do is continue what they were doing. It'll be interesting to know who decided that Chris Evans had to go as Captain America and Tony Stark had to go and, Black Widow had to go. I'm thinking those three actors were on the same page and knew it was time to leave a potential sinking ship. Rumours saying that they're coming back. Bringing back, an older Robert Downey Jr. isn't the answer. Of course, they've got the multiverse. Of course, they can say he's a multiversal version of Stark and everyone will be cheering. But I don't think, it just shows desperation. It shows no foundations. And early MCU, if nothing else, built foundations. There was a lot of world building. It was one of the things everyone loved about it. So I don't think there's any future in continuing this cinematic universe. The problem that Feige's got, the problem that everyone at Marvel Studios has got, that Marvel is owned by Disney. And that's a problem. It's not owned by a normal studio like WB. If WB decided to not do a cinematic universe and just do Elseworld movies and just give auteur directors, the freedom to do whatever they want in unconnected movies with each other, right? That could work. But Disney are a different corporate animal, and that's the problem. It's difficult to bring auteur directors into Disney to have their own individual takes on these characters and worlds. But that is what's needed. Because I personally don't believe cinematic universes have that interest. Because the truth is, no cinematic universe has ever worked on the level of the MCU before. It was only the MCU and Marvel Studios that pulled it off. And we have to be honest about this. A lot of it, some of it, was luck. But people enjoyed seeing the continuing saga, watching the Infinity Saga play out. And it was actually done quite well. But it's the kind of thing that can't be perfected, that you can't repeat. Of course, after Endgame, if they continued bringing us in great Marvel characters and continuing a new story and doing it well, but they overstretched themselves with streaming and kind of movies going into theatres as well. Now, you can do that, but you need more people working in your team. They thought they could do this by having the same amount of people working for them that were working for them before. Why would you do that, right? You're making so much money. You're the most successful franchise ever. Why not employ more people so you're not overstretched? But the quality of Marvel streaming, MCU streaming on D+, just went downhill very quickly. I mostly enjoyed WandaVision, although it wasn't without its problems. I mostly enjoyed Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It wasn't without its problems, but it was okay. But as we went deeper and deeper into D+ MCU, we began to see the lack of quality and propaganda, bad propaganda. It simply was starting to fall down. And of course, it doesn't help that that Fandom Menace found flaws in what they were doing and were able to expose what they were doing. Because people may laugh, but the Fandom Menace are a very powerful group. And when they've got it in for you, you're in trouble publicly. Now, I love the way the Fandom Menace are exposing New Hollywood. I do not agree with their politics one little bit, and I don't have to. But I think you need people who have the ability and talent to expose what these people are doing. Hollywood is on its knees. I miss the old days where they used to sniff powder off hookers and make great movies in their spare time. But these days, look, we live in a very complex and polarizing world, and everyone's more obsessed with their ideology than actually giving the public something. That's the problem today. Everyone is obsessed with giving you their take, and that's the problem. You see a woman being interviewed and she'll talk to you about the patriarchy, how it's been unfair for women, and they don't talk about their projects. You know, Variety have this Power of Woman interview thing, right? What does that even mean? Power of women. I don't get it. Nobody gets it. People just want to be entertained. Are you not entertained? No, we're not anymore. And this is why this whole industry is on its knees. But just to take it back again, because I kind of got lost in my own conversation, the Pedro Pascal thing just won't fly. I don't think they're kind of set on it. I think it definitely was released on social media as a rumor to see how we react. As I say, I don't see him as Reed Richards. No one does. I mean, Pascal rarely puts on another accent anyway, which, as far as I'm concerned, isn't great, although I defend Kevin Costner for not putting on an accent in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. But that's different. Kevin Costner's a legend and I love him. But the thing is, you know, as I said earlier, the only reason they want to give it to Pascal because it seems like they're being diverse, but it's not diversity. He has got their DNA. He's part of their country club. It's why he gets every single damn role. It's time to go to acting school. It's time to go to film school and recruit talented, young, fresh faces. And that's what they're not doing anymore. It's just the same circle of people getting work all the time. And when you're in a bubble, when you're in an echo chamber, there's no one to tell you from the outside what you're doing wrong, because they no longer listen to the public. It doesn't matter if you're trans or woman, Latino, Greek Cypriot like myself. They don't listen to outsiders. They don't want to know what we think. And when we tell them something they don't like, we're racist, we're homophobes, we're this, we're that, the other. And that, my friends, is simply not true. We just want to be entertained, right? And if you're not going to entertain us, we're not going to consume your shit. It's as simple as that. You know, what makes you think that Pedro Pascal is a great Reed Richards? It doesn't make sense. Just cast the damn guy accurately. But I told you before about Fantastic Four that this is what they were going to do. This is their mentality. When everyone was like fan casting, like straight white males, you know, Americans and things, I said, it's never going to happen. Wouldn't surprise me if the whole of the Fantastic Four was going to be black. Now, clearly, that's not the case. But yeah, this is where we are. This is where we are today. We're never going back. We're never going to change. But if we are going to be diverse, at least let's do it properly. Let's cast diverse, talented people. Let's at least try to tell great stories.